Always take a banana to a party, Rose. Bananas are good.
Welcome, rebels, bureaucrats, and hapless guards, to episode 452 of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 7th of June, 2022, and featuring The Power of the Daleks animated reconstruction, written by David Whitaker and starring Patrick Troutman as the Doctor, Anna K. Wills as Polly Wright, and Michael Craze as Ben Jackson. I am Bill Sylvia, the one in black, and my father tried to laugh at me for saying England was farther north than Germany, but I was right, because he thinks Wales is part of England. With me are co-host Randy Ronson McCulloch.
Still alive. I'm still alive.
Color commentator Alex Fireheart.
Oh, God, I had a joke, but I completely lost it. Oh, well.
And technical director Mad Matt Winchell.
Exterminate, annihilate, destroy.
And everybody's here this week, which is also my reminder that I need to actually remember to tweet that we're streaming.
Well, it has been a couple of weeks. Last week was kind of a snafu. We were supposed to run, but Matt got called into work at the last second, and I was dying, so...
Yeah, last week I was supposed to have 5 days off in a row, and I got called in loud, basically the last minute twice in a row. Well, not twice in a row, twice during that 5 days.
I hope you expected that, because...
I kind of did.
Yeah, that was pretty much guaranteed.
I was literally there on my last day and just going, how much you want to bet? Next day I get called. I was right.
This is why I refer to Matt as Dante all the time.
I'm supposed to be here today.
Pretty much. If Matt lived closer, and I was in better health, I swear to God, I would just start hanging out at him with his work and being a general pain in the ass.
Hey, man, if you're just going to hang around here, could you at least hold this box of sachet sauces for me?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Puts box down someplace, completely not paying
Where'd you
attention.
put the box? Dang it! Probably put it in a window somewhere.
So outside of unexpected, totally expected calls into work, how's everybody's week been?
Well, I learned that my medication's trying to kill me by not letting me get enough sleep. Those of you that know I'm on diuretics, that makes me have to pee basically 24 hours a day. Well, my cardiologist who prescribed these forgot to think that at home I'm not in a hospital situation. You know, in the hospital they have me hooked up to a catheter, so I wake in the middle of the night, I have to pee, I just pee.
Mm-hmm.
It goes in a bag, they change the bag, done. Here, I have to get up. I have to wake up enough that I'm stable on my feet. Go to the bathroom. Actually use the bathroom. Come back out. Get ready and get repositioned, go to bed, by which point my body's in full active mode. Now, unlike Aaron, who can do this and go back to sleep in 10 minutes, it takes me about an hour to go back to sleep. Problem is, my medication has me going just about every hour on the hour.
Oh.
So I get into position, I finally get comfortable, I get 10, 15 minutes of pre-sleep, if you want to call it that. That sleep that doesn't actually give you rest. And my bladder's like, oh, time to go to the bathroom again. And after a few weeks of that, my body's like, I'm not getting enough sleep. I'm not feeling good. All this, and, I'm spending my entire day trying to sleep and not getting any real rest. So on Sunday this week, I went, screw this. I'm not taking my diuretics today. I'll take them again tomorrow. And for the first time in I don't know how long, I got 8 hours of sleep that night.
Nice.
My head hit the pillow. I didn't wake up until 9 o'clock the next morning. So I think I'm going to have a long talk with my cardiologist about his expectations and my needs.
We need to bring the dosage down just a wee bit.
Yeah,
Wee bit so I can actually stop weeing a bit.
I'm partially annoyed and partially very thankful to say that the worst situation in terms of not being able to sleep for an extended period that I've had was we had 3 or 4 days in a row where it was 90 degrees here, which meant that I had to be borderline dead before I could actually sleep. And I could only function if I was sitting in front of my air conditioner, barely thinking. And then the day that it rained and it finally dropped down to 70 degrees, I slept about 14 hours.
Not surprised there. Yeah.
How big is your apartment?
I
don't mean meters. I mean how many bedrooms, that kind of thing.
It's a 1 bedroom, but it's positioned like awkwardly enough that the AC does not really get directly to the bedroom. It's just
I understand that.
Room.
Our apartment is the same style of configuration.
Gotcha.
So what we do is we get a couple of fans, couple of stand fans from like Target, whatever, Target, Walmart, whatever you've got in town, and arrange them so that they will redirect the air into the bedroom.
Does that makes a big enough difference? I've thought about that.
It makes a huge fucking difference.
Okay.
As a man who has to live with a fan in front of his only vent, which actually isn't a real vent, it's an air intake, but it still shares the air from the bedroom behind me. Yeah, it makes all the world of difference that you can blow that air into the rest of the room.
We get 100, 105 weeks in like August, September. And that means, of course, air conditioner is going constantly for usually those weeks. And that's the difference between having it 90 degrees in the bedroom and 70 degrees in the bedroom.
Yeah.
So I couldn't afford like tall fans when the first 2 summers I was here. Now I probably could, so I'll look into that.
You couldn't afford $20?
I could not find any. At least Walmart was the most accessible to me, and all the ones that were like 10 feet, all the ones that were tall enough to reach the ground were a lot more than that. But
I usually can find standing fans for like 20, maybe 30.
That said, I was broke enough at the time that I literally only bought the cheapest fan I could find.
Yeah, at that kind of point, if you're not finding it local, you got to give the money to Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got another. He got another $20 out of me this month when I bought a new controller for my computer. Because yes, now I can actually once again play controller games.
Nice.
So yes, that means tomorrow I don't need to sit in the van in Phasmophobia.
Speaking of which, what did I get recently? I bought a game. Oh, that's right. I finally got Neverwinter Nights 2 Complete Edition because it was on sale. It was under $10, and I happen to still have like $13 from my Patreon. Thank you, my patrons.
I need to get that eventually. I bought the first version when it came out.
So did I.
But at the time, it was burying my computer.
Oh, same here too. I barely played for like 5 minutes, and it's just like, I can barely get this thing to keep at 5 frames a second.
Mine wasn't quite that bad, but it was close enough.
Well, I managed to like move down the road a little ways and just went, yeah, I think I'm done trying with this right now. I need something better.
Yeah.
Admittedly,
but, you
this
know,
is my, if you recall, Ran, this is the old Dell laptop I'm talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think this was the computer that replaced Tiny God.
Yeah,
Because Tiny God
I'm
had
talking
finally
about that
gotten
silver
obsolete.
and blue thing I first showed up with.
Which, if I recall, was a Dell desktop that I had replaced it with.
Mm.
But it was getting killed by that game, and it was years before I replaced that desktop.
Yeah, by the way, have I mentioned my new desktop can handle Conan Exiles like it's literally nothing?
Nice.
Should join us on the public server.
I've been contemplating, but I really had not the fucking time lately.
It reminds me that there is actually a hard mode in Conan Exiles. ×1 resource gathering.
Oh,
Items
God,
drop
yeah.
on death. So yes, the Walk of Shame is back.
Yeah.
I took a while to get started on that one, because you have to rethink how you do stuff. You can't just YOLO it and expect to come back with all your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Oh, I did remember something else from the day that I mentioned where I like slept 14 hours, whatever it was. So normally I kind of wake up every 2 hours to pee during the night or whatever. And it's a 50-50 chance whether I can get back to sleep or not. But because I was so tired and I slept 8 hours straight, apparently I rolled on top of my glasses and broke them. So I've been wearing my 2018 glasses since then. Luckily,
Only 2018?
Luckily, I called the nearest eye exam place, which I'd been procrastinating on calling for the past year, and they said that even though they're out to August right now, somebody actually canceled for later this month, so I can get an appointment and hopefully get new glasses before I go on my trip next month.
I'm pretty sure if I got these after coming home, I got these glasses around 2009, 2010.
See, well, no, mine came out, I think, what was it, last year? Year before? Somewhere during the middle of the COVID epidemic.
If I had glasses from 2010, I would not be able to see a stop sign.
But the place I get my glasses from, if I broke my glasses, I would call them, they'd replace them.
I mean, I needed a new eye exam anyway, but yeah, if I called the place in Connecticut, that might be an option, but better to get new glasses. It doesn't help that I'm halfway across the country from where I got my last pair of glasses.
True, unless you use a national chain. And there are a few national chains, like Lens Crafters, iMart Express. I can't remember that one place that's right by the mall, but not in the mall. But it's a national one too. We tried going in there, but they were a bunch of douches.
Oh yeah, I've also picked up Dead by Daylight again this last week or so.
Okay.
It's been a replacement for Friday the 13th, and doesn't need to be as seasonal. And actually, it's been almost literally 6 years since I last played it.
Is F-13 still wrapped up in copyright litigation?
Yeah, so that's basically there's not going to be anything new in Friday the 13th game, but they have been trying to slowly refix things in the game, but it seems like every time they fix something else comes through. Right now, when I tried playing it for Friday the 13th almost a month ago now, yeah, they have taken over how servers run, and literally they can shoehorn like upwards of 20 people into a server, and it's like, no, this is all wrong, and there's multiple Jasons, and I'm just already done with this.
I have some brighter news. So one of my friends got engaged a
Oh.
couple of weeks ago. I'm probably not going to the wedding because he lives down in Ohio, but
No.
Bill would have a better chance of going, but they don't know each other, so that's not happening.
Yeah.
Funny enough, a friend of mine who lives in Kentucky messaged me about an engagement and about getting my address so she could, send the save the date or the invitation or whatever. Interesting coincidence there.
But he had some rigmarole getting a ring because he had done, all the research beforehand, knew exactly what he wanted, and went into a national chain jewelry store. I'm not going to say who. And basically walked up at the counter. It's like, okay, I want this cut, with this design and this ring. And the person looked at him and said, "And how much are you willing to spend?" Which is the wrong answer.
Bye.
Yeah, what you should say is, all right, let us go talk to our supplier and jeweler, and we'll give you a price estimate. And he had to threaten to go to the manager before they would do that. The next day they came back with the quote estimate, and it didn't have the actual listing of what things costed. So he went, screw this, and the following weekend went to a local jeweler, not a national chain, and they said, okay, you want this, it's going to cost you round about this much. We'll bring you the minute details tomorrow after we talk to our guy because he's closed right now. Yada, yada, yada,
Mm-hmm.
But it should cost about this. And he's like, that's fine. So, just another
apparently
reminder,
local jewelers are better and more trustworthy.
Keep it local, yeah.
Yep. Your mom and pop jeweler store. Trust them. They're better.
I've also been seeing more and more people lately looking for quality alternatives to diamonds. So
Yes, that was another thing. They weren't looking for the standard diamond set. And of course, if Aaron and I ever got married, which is a hypothetical because medical reasons, yada yada yada, I would not be giving her a diamond ring. Not because of money, well, kind of because of money, because I don't want that money to go to a certain cartel that owns all the diamond mines on the planet Earth.
Right. Actually, I would almost suggest going the way my sister and my brother-in-law went. They just got basic metal rings, and they went with at least some rare metal in them. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would look at like sapphires and
or
emeralds
at the very least, just ignore regular diamonds and go for other gemstones of some kind.
That's what we would be looking at. Yes.
I'm
birthstone, I get
hoping
an amethyst.
I'm hoping that if I ever get married, it's somebody who's going to be alongside me, looking at we could get the Star Wars ring or the Lord of the Rings ring or the Doctor Who ring or.
Yeah.
I want to have that much in common with them.
Yes, I want the ring, only I want it with this particular image on it. What is that? That's the Seal of Rassilon.
I'm sure they make Seal of Rassilon wedding rings and
No,
at least
I
one
want
place.
a Seal of Rassilon signet ring.
Yes.
If I ever get one, you'll know, because anything I ever send you in an envelope will be wax sealed with the Rassilon.
Honey, which couple do you want for the wedding cake topper? Morticia or Gomez, or do you want this one?
Should we move on to tonight's show?
Might as well. It's about 20 minutes.
Yep.
Crickets?
No, I had to open up the sheet.
Oh.
Well, not really open it. I had to just get to my laptop, which was sitting slightly beside me so I could breathe.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was sitting under a cat.
No, it was not. It was sitting by my phone, but it was over where I actually put my head when I sleep. Unlike where I sit when I podcast, which is where my feet are. Anyway, on tonight's show, we have birthdays. Quite a few birthdays, actually. We have some Geek Talk. We did not have review of Shame, but look for some of that starting next week. Now that I know what's wrong with me, I can fix what's wrong with me.
Right.
So
need some wood to knock on.
There.
And then our episode summary. There's not going to be a historical fact check because this takes place in the future.
In the future.
Our review, our final thoughts, and our ratings. So, starting
I
with birthdays.
just remembered when we last reviewed this, we had that long talk about whether it's actually set in the year 2020 or not. And it apparently just some announcer at the BBC commercial department pulled that out of their ass.
Yep. So the first birthday, since the 2 weeks we've been gone, was on May 25th. And that is the birthday of Sir Ian McKellen, who played the Great Intelligence in The Snowman in 2012, but is better known for many other roles, such as Gandalf,
Freaking Gandalf.
or Magneto,
Magneto,
or a dozen other things. He turned 83. So he's getting up there.
No.
The next birthday is the day after the 26th. This is a posthumous birthday for Peter Cushing, who played, of course, Doctor Who in the 1960s movies, excuse me. He would have been 109, but died in 1994 at the age of 81. And I do find a personal joy of having Ian McKellen and Peter Cushing right next to each other
Right.
Yeah.
on the birthday list. All we need is Christopher Lee in there, and that would be the perfect triumvirate.
The perfect trio.
However, the next birthday listed is not Christopher Lee. It is May 29th with Pearl Mackie, who played Bill in the 2017 series. That's Series 9. No, Series 10, excuse me.
Yeah.
She turned 35.
She's
Next,
still
May
under us.
31st, is the birthday of Linda Bellingham, who played the Inquisitor in Trial of a Time Lord. She's listed in here because she was a Time Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And technically, Trial of a Time Lord is like 4 episodes in one, so...
Yeah, so she was there for quite the story arc.
Yep.
Would have been 74, but she died in 2014 at the age of 66. Moving into June, the first birthday we have is the birthday of Jonathan Pryce, who played the Master in Curse of Fatal Death in 1999. He turned 75. That is, of course, the Master with Dalek bumps. And finally, on June 4th is going to be a birthday I'm going to make sure gets put up every year, is that of Julie Gardner, who was the executive producer from Doctor Who alongside Russell T Davies from 2005 to 2009. I believe she was also the controller of BBC Wales. And with Russell T is the co-founder of Bad Wolf Studio.
Mm-hmm.
So she is going to be heavily involved in upcoming seasons of Doctor Who.
Please let the next seasons not suck. Please. Let the next season
She just turned 53. Okay. Moving on to regular news, because there are no lost stories. I looked. Little alumni news. A ceremony was held by the Doctor Who Appreciation Society on the 29th of May to celebrate the Blue Heritage Plaque to Doctor Who's first producer, Verity Lambert. The plaque at London's Riverside Studios was jointly unveiled by former showrunner Stephen Moffat and Unearthly Child director Waris Hussein, who I'm surprised is still alive.
Yeah.
That ball old.
Yeah, I think he's one of the few production staff from the early years still there.
Mm-hmm.
The plaque had previously been in storage while the studios were renovated.
Mm-hmm.
That actually shocks me because I thought those studios had been shut down.
Ah,
Well, they were shut down because they were being renovated, but yeah.
No, I mean that was the original studios. Those were the
Oh,
ones that if they had the lights on too long, it would turn on. It would
oh,
yeah, they tear those down and rebuild them.
that's what they call renovating, huh?
yeah. So it's probably been renovated at least twice by now. Then.
Yep.
In other news, Mike Stack, a researcher at the Birkbeck University of London, is recruiting Doctor Who fans for a survey about fan experiences and is also looking for interview subjects. If you are interested in being involved in this study, you can find the link at drwhonews.net or you can email Mike at m.stack@bbc.ac.uk.
BBK.
BBK, excuse me.
We-
Birkbeck University, yes,
Yep.
BBK. My bad. I'm used to seeing BBC on these
Right,
news
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
All
hope
right.
that us sharing it might get some more of the U.S. side audience in there.
Not sure. They might have to be local, but we'll see.
Candy Jar Books has recently released a new book in their Lethbridge Stewart series, Legacy of the Dominator by Nick Walters.
Oh, the Dominators.
The Dominator, singular.
Well, legacy
I'm
of
sorry
one
if
of
I
them,
put
yes. Still, it's a callback to the Dominators.
And in other news completely, in response to challenges the animal welfare sector has faced since the beginning of the COVID pandemic, and we just got demonetized, the Doctor Who Appreciation Society has published Pets in Time, a compilation of stories from the Doctor Who alumni about their pets. A short list of contributors to the book includes Colin Baker, Wendy Padbury, Katie Manning, John Leeson, Louise Jameson, Janet Fielding, Sarah Sutton, Mark Strickson, Nicola Bryant, and many others. The charity book is available for £10 from the Doctor Who Appreciation Society website.
Couldn't find if the shipping price was the same for U.S. as U.K. without actually going through and buying it myself, but
It is not.
It isn't.
First of all, you have to do the VAT conversion, which is a
mhm.
freaking pain in the ass.
And then you also have to ship the damn thing across the pond.
Right.
Yeah.
But I know
money.
if you're in the UK, that £10 includes shipping. I don't
Yes,
know
I know.
if
It does,
yeah.
but no, that does not cover international shipping.
Not international,
No,
yeah.
by the time you've done your VAT conversion and paid the international shipping fees, that £10 book is closer to £30.
Mm-hmm. That's why
Which is-
getting BBC merch, why Doctor Who merch in the return for Doctor Who was so pricey.
Yeah, until it became manufacture it here and sell it here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
until they've managed to pick up manufacturers here.
Yeah. Okay. So in Big Finish news, out at the end of May, Big Finish released The Robots Volume 5, featuring the Robots of Death with 3 stories by Aaron Douglas, Phil Murn, and Tim Foley, and starring Nicola Walker as 8th Doctor companion Liv Chenka, and Claire Rushbrook as her sister Tula. I think we did Volume 1 of that.
I can't recall. I think we might have.
I don't think we reviewed it, if that's what you mean.
We did. Either that or I know I've listened to it. I don't know.
Maybe
I
that.
remember we were definitely interested, but I can't recall if we did.
And that is all the news we have tonight.
All right. So from there,
I
we're going
think
to Geek
I
Talk.
think that's the most energetic and professional I've done the news in some time.
Woo.
It helps listening to old Carlin in the news things. All right, so now we're into our Geek Talk section, and we've got 3 things to talk about. I could add a 4th, but I will not.
Technically, I could have added another one, but the anime that I was watching after they finished the one that I was talking about is still going. So even though a full season is aired, I'm like, I'll wait.
Dude.
I watched the new South Park special, but all I can say is it's South Park. It's basically South Park. So
At least
with
it's keeping quality, which is saying something after all these years.
with Shimoneta.
Yep.
Shimoneta. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Of course, I almost just wanted to write down the full title, but no, because the full title is a boring world where the concept of dirty jokes doesn't exist, and it's usually just known as Shimoneta for short. And it's so this anime was an experience because it's only 12 episodes. And technically, I watched the first episode back in 2017 and then just never came back to it. And then just decided, you know what? I remember this premise actually being kind of funny and like interesting, so I'm going to finish it. And it's so weird because like it's branded a fan service anime, but watching the first 3 episodes, I'm like, you know, this is remarkably tame for something that came out in like 2015 that is considered a fan service anime. And then episode 4 happens.
And everything
And it just-
became chaos.
Yeah, like the concept is that it is set in a dystopian alternate history 2030 Japan. And it's Puritan. Like you can't say anything. Like think like dystopian Puritanism because you can't say bad words like that.
Ever
are
seen
lewd.
Demolition Man? There you go.
And like yeah, this like porn's been outlawed, all this other shit's been outlawed. You wear a thing around your neck that'll heal. If you're saying anything lewd, they have to refer to like genitals by like innuendo rather than direct sort of
Surprised
stuff.
that's not an episode of Black Mirror yet.
Like kids don't like the kids in this high school have no idea how where babies come from. It's like that level of this has been going on for like as long as these kids have been alive, I think.
Yeah, basically
So,
the
like-
first generation that doesn't understand anything.
Yeah. And it's like it's such a bizarre concept that I was morbidly curious. And then yeah, it's like you get to the 4th episode and it's like, oh, that's where they were hiding all of the explicit fan service to a point. And like one character, you know, like one character in this is like fine, and then she's not, and then she just becomes like
Super psycho.
Really a jerk that I wish wasn't a running jerk, because essentially she becomes like assault levels of obsessed with the main male character.
Yeah.
And it's like could assault on a guy not be a jerk, please?
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be
think-
nice.
I
Like,
think that's when
it's
you
treated-
when you messaged me about it to vent.
Yeah, it's treated seriously for like an episode and a half, and then it's basically a joke for the rest of the thing. And it's like, oh, for God's sake. I mean, she's not like flat out going all the way, but it's still like, this is just really bugging me. There's one other element that's like, what? And there's another element that pissed me off. But otherwise, it's like, it's mainly frustrating because it's like, this is actually a really good, at least really well executed for the most part, version of this concept where like even though they branded the main girl of the show a terrorist because she's trying to like be like, yay, sexual liberation, she's also like, I don't want to do this in a violent way because I want to win people over. I don't want to scare people into making this okay again. I mean, it's an interesting change to watch something where most of the female characters are horny and pretty much none of the male characters are, outside of like villains. But yeah,
I don't know, that's like every harem anime ever.
it's a wild ride. I would recommend it so long as you go into it knowing some of the stuff that happens. But yeah, that's about it. It's like I want. It's probably going to be the first thing that I will do a scripted video on at this point, because I just have a lot of things that I need to get off my chest about it.
All right.
Yeah, that's about it.
All right, moving on to that, we've got Bill with a first impression on Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes, so this is a first impression, but because we missed a week and because it's so short, it's now a halfway through impression. But I figured it's still
that far done.
It's 6 episodes, but they released the first 2 episodes at once, and now
now they've
now 3's out. So yeah, it's halfway.
Yeah. It's basically a 6-part serial, it seems. So rather than being something like The Mandalorian, where there's kind of an adventure of the week, at least at times, it seems like this is going to be one story over 6 parts.
So mini-series rather than episodic.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it basically starts off like Obi-Wan is, it's 10 years post Revenge of the Sith. Obi-Wan is pretty much just like at rock bottom. He's just like, a Jedi comes for him for help, and he's like, the only help I can give you is to recommend that you bury all your Jedi shit in the sand and then go live a life where no one's going to find you. And he's just, it's all the depression and everything you would expect from him at that point. But then they find out that, and there's, the major plot is, Imperial Inquisitors are trying to find Jedi, which is also why Darth Vader features in the series. But basically,
so this is happening around the same time as Rebels.
A few years before. A few years before. Yeah.
Because the Imperial Inquisitors also appeared in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where they debuted.
In this version of continuity, yes. So at least at this point, it seems like the second main character of the show is 10-year-old Princess Leia, and I almost didn't say that because as of episode 1, that might seem like a spoiler, but it really seems like she's the co-lead. And it's kind of hard to tell how that's going to continue by the end of the show. But at the moment, she seems to be the co-lead. So there's been a lot of opinions around that, as well as apparently a lot of racist attacks on the main antagonist, not meaning Darth Vader, but as in the main antagonist introduced for the show is an Inquisitor who happens to be played by a black woman. And so all the shit that, damn, I'm forgetting the 2 actors' names off the top of my head, but that the man who played Finn and the woman who played Rey, they dealt with racism and misogyny from all of the so-called fans. Now this woman is getting that from both sides because of that. I don't think she's doing a bad job, but I don't think the character has really had great scenes to shine either. There have been at least one really great Darth Vader moment that people have really been impressed by. And I think that by the end of this series, we're expected to see Obi-Wan acting a lot more like Alec Guinness. At least that seems to be the arc he's going on. I don't know what's going to happen next, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. People have mixed impressions, but generally I think if you're a Star Wars fan who watches stuff with Jedi and Sith, you kind of know what to expect going into this. There's not, I don't think that I'm going to sway anybody's opinion one way or another. It's not the best thing I've ever seen, but I'm not disliking it either, and I'm just kind of waiting to see how the last half of the show goes.
Yeah, I'm basically worried that there's certain things that will break continuity, and I've heard rumors, but only rumors that might happen, but we'll see.
I mean, and I feel like the biggest continuity break that could possibly happen is, I mean, and this I'm going to say it's not a spoiler because we already know that Darth Vader is in all 6 episodes and Obi-Wan Kenobi is in all 6 episodes. It does make that one scene in A New Hope seem weird when they sort of imply that they hadn't seen each other since Vader was a student.
Yes, they strongly imply that.
But I don't know. I honestly don't know how much they're going to meet during the show and what's going to happen.
I've heard rumors both ways that they're going to break continuity and they are going to have a fight, but I've also heard rumors that it's only going to be a dream sequence, so it's actually not going to break continuity. So it's a wait and see.
And even then, I do think if considering how every prequel ever breaks continuity in some way, I think making one line seem a little weird is not the worst crime it could commit. Some people might disagree with me. Please don't send me death threats over that. But that's my opinion. That is not the worst crime they could commit. And then moving on to the other thing that I saw over this time.
Actually, can I hold you for 1 second?
Sure.
And just say on a slightly related yet unrelated note to your Obi-Wan review, I'm also halfway through Strange New Worlds. Still great.
Ah. Oh, is that also the same
new
length?
Star Trek? Yeah.
Oh, it's 10 eps, but they're on 5 now.
Okay.
But yes, we're halfway through. Still great. Going strong.
Yeah, I've been still hearing nothing but positivity so far on that show.
Cool.
So good. Cool.
I mean, there was a couple episodes that were mediocre, but they weren't bad.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Any series is going to have its ups and downs episode. But when it's great, and when it's bad, it's mediocre. So that's watchable. Yeah, it's eh.
It's eh.
But that's still great because loving it. I actually every Thursday I bounce out of bed now going, new episode. So there you go.
So
That's
otherwise, I have finally gotten myself around to fully watching The Princess Bride.
I need to actually sit down and watch the whole thing one of these days. I've seen like half the movie at this point.
See, that makes me feel a lot better because I thought you were all going to mercilessly mock me for
no, I can't. But I've always I kept always catching it on TV, and I always kept like seeing the one section like before the ROUSs, and I would always then manage to come back somehow to only watch the castle invasion, and that'd be it.
Got you. But yeah, if I happened to see that it was on Disney Plus, so I was like, yeah, I should watch it. I had kind of like, its name is so similar to The Princess Diaries that I would always get confused and not click on it.
No.
But now that I've heard the name mentioned enough, I was confident that I was clicking on the right thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's, as Matt has mentioned, it's great to put context to all the memes. Unfortunately, because of the memes, I probably knew a lot of the punchlines going into this movie.
Not to mention the fact that you've hung out with me and other people that would have quote this movie endlessly back and forth to each other.
Yeah, right. That's part of what I mean as the memes. Yeah, because I don't think you've done much. You've done little enough of describing the plot that I did not know what was going to happen, but I knew multiple quotes going in.
Around the horses, so I thought I'd bring them around in case we found the lady. Hello, lady.
But yeah, so it's an interesting artifact in that I can definitely see like the impact it's had on people. I could definitely liken it to something like the Monty Python movies as a form of meme generation. It's really weird watching it from the current vantage point because like all of the, like if you look at, for example, the MCU, because it's a huge, big example, they work in the same amount of comedy per movie that this comedy movie does. because all of the people making those movies probably grew up watching this.
Probably.
So as a result, it kind of feels like it hasn't aged as well because it's not trying to do as many things as most movies. And I mean, I don't think it's as big a budget as it's nowhere near. I'm going to say it's nowhere near as big a
No.
budget as an MCU movie.
No.
I can't
Well,
compare them that
There
way.
isn't anything as big a budget as an MCU
True,
movie.
true.
Yes.
But I don't want to imply that. But in terms of like the comedy writing, there's probably as many punchlines per minute in an MCU movie as there are punchlines per minute in this movie, even though this movie is primarily a comedy. So it feels weird, like the aging is a little funky because of that.
This movie had a budget of $16 million. It boxed 30.9. So it is nowhere near an MCU movie lead.
Right. I definitely wish I had grown up with this movie or watched it in high school or any like. I think most people probably watched it around that age. That quoted a lot.
Yes.
If I had watched this in high school, I think that would have been perfect. The perfect timing for it. And yeah, I mean, and I also don't want to imply it's a bad movie. It's just the aging feels weird just compared to the comedy of movies nowadays that probably were based on this. That said, yeah, I don't really have complaints over it other than, it's a comedy movie. It does what it's trying to do. And now I have context for all the quotes.
I think I was in 5th grade when I saw this movie.
I can only doggy paddle.
God,
So you were of the age of the kid yelling about, I don't want to hear the kissy parts.
Yes. Because, mind you, my mother dragged me to this movie in the theater when it came out. I'm like, I don't want to go see this movie. I don't want to go see this movie. Wired.
When did it come out?
fucking loved it. 1987.
87. I would have been 2.
So you were exactly the kid in the movie who doesn't want to hear it and then is fixated.
And then all of a sudden gets fixated. Yeah.
Well, first of all, the first thing I say about this movie is I would have never thought Andre the Giant was actually such a good actor.
Oh yeah. The guy was great in this movie.
Oh yes.
I didn't realize, so that's the wrestler.
But yeah, in case you haven't understood, I've been quoting him the entire time you start talking about this movie.
No,
Yes.
I didn't realize that was who played it because I don't follow wrestling.
The guy that played Fezzik was Andre the Giant, professional wrestler. And he was basically just known as this big-ass ass kicker.
That probably feeds into the idea of him being called a giant the whole time, even though he's taller than the average person, but he's not 12 feet tall.
Plus.
Yeah, he's not 9 feet tall or anything. So I imagine people who knew who he was probably immediately accepted that.
He was actually a giant. He had the excess gigantism. He had that.
Yeah. What you saw for his size on the set was real.
Right. So giant in terms of human terms, not as the mythical.
Not as the mythical
creature.
Giant. No.
Not the mythical creature that's 9 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not even a giant.
This movie came out in the midst of him feuding with Hulk Hogan, who in the 80s was the big face of the WWF.
Mm-hmm.
So that means he was the bad guy. And then you go to the theater and you see him in this role that made you fucking love him to death.
Of course, the unfortunate thing I realized was that, this means he was also, like, in a lot of fucking pain when he was making this movie. Because because of his gigantism, it was like he would have been in. I think he was wearing a back brace for the entire movie.
I was a little surprised that I forget his name, but the guy from the Inconceivable guy who I recognized from many memes and such. I thought I had assumed he would play a bigger role than he ended up playing.
Oh no, not big at all.
No, and that, by the way, was also a very that was Wallace Shawn, who, yes, you would know him from a million things.
Mm-hmm.
Most Star Trek fans would know him as Grand Nagus Zek.
Yeah, I guess most
Deep
kids of the
Space Nine.
'90s would recognize him as Rex from Toy Story.
Ha!
That was another one.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. I've seen him in the bits I have seen of this movie, and I'm always like, I know that voice, and I know that face. I can just never quite remember where.
Oh yeah, the second you hear him as Grand Nagus Zek, you're just like, oh shit, because it's that same nasally voice.
Inconceivable.
Is that a Ferengi? Because he does come across as a Ferengi.
Yes, he's the actual head of the Ferengi. The Grand Nagus is the
I've
leader.
probably seen. I'm sure I've seen scenes with him.
Probably.
Yeah, it's like the only time you ever see Quark actually start respecting anybody is he falls over himself whenever the Grand Nagus shows up.
Gotcha.
Because now I'm realizing that I think we've discussed before that, like, either on or off the podcast about how they were apparently trying to get a remake done. I almost wonder if they're just trying to do it while the Big Show is still, like, in a condition to do
The
it.
Big Show would never be able to do
No.
as good of a job.
Yeah. No.
Well, right. But yeah, all I know is if they ever did, I would just want it to wait until Fred Savage is old enough so that Fred Savage can play it. So it's a sort
So
of
he
a
could be
spiritual
Grandpa?
sequel. Yeah. So it's like now it's him telling it to his grandson, or even just his son. Because if they did it now,
that would be beautiful.
That would actually
Kind
be a
of
beautiful
make it-
turnaround for that.
It would make it a sequel,
Oh,
but at
yeah.
the same time, the
Sequel,
same
but
story.
pseudo remake. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the sequel is the continuity of reading it to the kid,
Mm.
but
and it would
you're still
explain
saying
why
the same
changes
story
could
with
be
different
made.
people because it's
Yeah.
happening
In the different
The
kid's imagination. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and like any
Bingo.
story changes would just be like Fred Savage's character being like, "Oh, well, here's how I can tweak this."
Hmm.
Or this is how the way the kid reads it in his imagination. Either way.
Mm.
You say this. This makes me want to go and pitch this idea to Fred Savage.
We already know he's game for it. He did the pseudo Princess Bride comedy bits for one of the Deadpool movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
That it's just one of those ideas that's just like,
Okay, you want to milk this, but let's milk it the proper way.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but Fred doesn't have that much going for him anymore.
Mm.
I mean, I guess he just came off a remake of The Wonder Years where he's like an executive producer, but
Mm-hmm. Honestly, yeah, he's more. Honestly, Fred Savage prefers to be in the background, anyways. He hates. He's had some sort of weird issue about acting, and he's been fine to be stayed away from it since he was after his teens.
But if you pitched this to him,
If you pitch this to him, and it's going to be a small enough role that he might actually legitimately go, you know what? Yeah, sure, that makes perfect sense. Let's do it.
you've just got to play the grandpa to this. So yes, you're going to be narrating the story
A couple of times here and there, and you'll be actually on set for
there'll be
one
breaks.
time. Yeah.
well, probably 2-3 times.
Yeah, maybe 2-3 days, depending on how long it takes to get those simple on-set shots for that bedroom.
Mm.
It would just be one of those beautiful things if you could get it to happen, and you could get Hollywood to go, yes, please.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing: normally, with a remake idea like this, I would toss it out the window because I think remakes are generally garbage.
Mm-hmm. But doing the remake that we just explained, oh yeah, actually, I'd be almost game for that.
I can count the amount of times on one hand I think a remake was better than the original.
Name them.
One would be Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Okay, yeah, a couple of those have definitely worked. Yep.
The Thing, I imagine. Well,
The
I
Thing
haven't seen
remake
the
with
50s version.
John Carpenter's The Thing. Yeah.
The Fly,
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
the Jeff Goldblum version was better than
Yeah.
Did anyone ever see the original Scarface?
Oh no, I haven't, and I actually have the remake, so I'm kind of waiting on that one to get to it one of these days. So that's 4.
Yeah, that's about all I can think of.
Sadly, I can think of a lot of remakes that didn't make it.
Oh yeah, I can. Those you could fill a bin.
Oh,
Yeah.
They do fill bins constantly.
Garbage bins.
Garbage bins and on sale bins for about $4 or less.
Do you consider live action readaptations of books that were previously animated?
Oh yeah, I consider those garbage too.
I consider those garbage. Yep.
Oh, the animated Lord of the Rings? I mean, the live action Lord of the Rings?
Oh, actually,
Sole exception.
Okay.
That would be
However,
exception. Yeah.
live action Hobbit, garbage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
live
my first
action
question
Hobbit
was,
needs a lot of editing.
do you consider that to be remakes? But yeah.
Technically, they are.
Mm-hmm.
Although they go back to the source material and re-edit it rather than just trying to remake the old movie.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do wish they'd had a where there's a whip, there's a way scene in Return of the King. I will
Yes.
say that forever.
The third movie would benefit from just a little bit of a breather like that for just a few moments.
that if they had done that, I would have left. I think my life would have been complete coming out of that theater.
Or at least have it in the extended cut.
Yeah, I mean, that's what extended cuts are for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I would have died. I mean, I know somebody did it on YouTube, but actually in an actual live version, I would have died. I would have just been like, okay, I've seen everything, take me.
So now that I'm sure that one movie went well over the 5 minutes.
Right.
God, yes.
Well, that's because
It's
it went
not
from movie to movie.
I was gonna say it's not my fault because it was mainly everyone else pitching in. So Ran is on schedule for the summary.
All right, give me just a second because my browser crashed during all of that.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get back into everything.
Speaking of which, I tried to watch our opening on Twitch, and then my bandwidth was like, no, you're not today.
I saw the opening. The opening worked, although I will say the lips movement stopped at the very end of that bit. But it
Yeah,
was fun.
he was talking for the beginning part, but not for the latter part. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to try to keep this summary brief because we have reviewed this episode before.
You've done it twice, I think.
Yeah, Randy's already done twice.
Yep. So, give me a timer countdown.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so this episode immediately follows up after 10th Planet, where the Doctor collapses in the TARDIS and changes his face for the first time. Ben and Polly are confused. The new person comes up, seems a little bit distant, distracted, as they're unsure how to treat him. He's unsure how to treat himself. He decides to go for a wander in this horrible acidic landscape, which turns out to be the planet Vulcan, having absolutely nothing to do with the one from Star Trek. On this planet, there is a research station, and after some foibles, the Doctor manages to pass himself off as an examiner who was murdered out in the swamp. This leads him to Dr. Lesterson, the colony scientist, who is currently breaking into a capsule in there where he discovers what the Doctor immediately recognizes as Daleks. Lesterson believes the Daleks hold no threat. The Daleks play absolutely subservient, but it's part of their plan to revive a secondary capsule which has a lot more Daleks in it. And they start producing more. And of course, the doctor's warning is ignored. Eventually, Lesterson discovers that they are being mass-produced. A fight ensues, and the doctor turns the Daleks' power source against them, destroying the Daleks. Basically, it turns out with most everybody killed, the doctor returns to the TARDIS and takes off, while one Dalek, which was motionless, watches as the TARDIS dematerializes. And that moves to the Highlanders.
Yep. Alrighty. So 2 minutes, 12 seconds.
We've done this before, folks! And, first of all, I am going to state for the record, I am not voting tonight.
Okay.
I am not. I gave my review to this for this particular episode years ago.
I couldn't. I haven't found yet which episode that was to re-listen to your review of it. I did listen to the original episode, which, funny enough, you spent most of the time talking about how difficult the telesnaps were.
Yes.
But I know
were.
you increased your rating when the animated one first came out.
Yes, I did. I think there was. I can't remember what episode it was, but I did a taking the retcon on it when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Which is when I announce a change in rating due to.
Yep. Unfortunately, we don't listen to that on the schedule, so I have to find it the hard way.
I'm pretty sure. I know I changed my rating on it. My rating will stand.
Okay.
From where I watched it before. So the rest of this episode is going to be you guys. I'll just sit here and moderate. Which of course leads me to the pecking order.
Pecking order.
And I have not rolled that because I was a bad boy.
Roll that beautiful dice footage.
And I actually have to get into a separate dice roller now because they deleted mine. The first thing I
You
rolled
wizards.
2, which would be Bill.
Okay. So what I liked was the creepy atmosphere of this episode. Like, I'm not sure how much of it was added by the animation, although I imagine that quite a bit of it was part of the original live action as well. But from the minute he starts walking through the marsh in the beginning, throughout the entire thing, there's this creepy atmosphere. You don't know, what's going to happen, and it kind of stays that way throughout, right up until the big Dalek revolt at the end, and I really liked that.
All right. Alex?
I guess, it is funny. It's nice finally seeing this in full so I can be like, wow, Victory of the Daleks really dropped the ball, didn't it? Like, wow, a well-executed version of this idea. That's nice.
Yeah, I believe that's what I came off with originally, was that Victory of the Daleks was a shitty version of this.
Right.
I mean, it's one of those things of like, yeah.
I still like Victory, but it's not
time.
amazing.
Like.
Yeah, I remember thinking, wow, Victory of the Daleks is pretty good until I saw this. It's like, oh, wow. I had no idea how derivative that was.
Yeah, I was going to say, knowing how little of it is original really takes a bit out of any score for Victory.
And it's also just that, like, Victory has a lot of New Who hang-ups that hold it back that this doesn't.
Well, yeah, because at the end of it, they introduced the Sentai Daleks. Big god damn. And those didn't last, but God, you saw them, and all you could think of was a freaking, like, Power Ranger team.
Well,
But
also,
here,
this
you at
has,
least...
like, quite the death toll.
Question for you, by the way. Kind of an aside. Did you watch this in color or black and white?
Black and white.
Black and white.
Okay. I have only ever seen this animated adaptation in the black and white. I know that they did it also in color, but I refuse to watch it.
Yeah, same.
Patrick Troughton doesn't exist in color. He was born in black and white.
Yes,
Lies and deceit. I've seen him
at
in
least
Jason
until
Argonauts.
at least until he was very old. And then you see him with the gray hair and the blue shirt talking to Colin Baker or talking to Peter Davison. But no.
I saw him in
The
full
second
color
Doctor
handing off a Poseidon artifact off to Jason. And then Jason tossed it into the water and saved himself from the...
That wasn't him.
Hmm?
That wasn't him.
What do you mean it isn't him?
That was just an incredibly lifelike simulation.
I'm pretty sure it was him. He got to toss food scraps at harpies. He'd also become so old he was blind. Crickets.
Yes, waiting for you guys to move on.
Oh.
So wait, was the thing that you liked that it wasn't Victory, or was there something else in there?
I mean, effectively, just like the actual story itself, is just like a very well. It's one of those. It's one of those things where, like, yes, this is absolutely a story that justifies being this long, whereas there have been plenty of 6-parters we've watched, like Web Planet, where I'm like, this could have been 4. But this is one where it's like, this didn't feel like it needed to be any longer, and this probably would have actually been negatively impacted by being a bit shorter. Like, they actually took advantage of the time they had.
We'll see how you feel next week then, when we have the same writer working with the Daleks in a 7-parter.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh god damn, that's a 7-parter.
Yep.
Oh lord.
Fuck, there goes my Tuesday.
Am I working next week Tuesday? God damn it, I am in the same hours too.
All right. By the way, I believe you are next, Matt.
Yep, I'm next. So, my big good positive thing about this is, well, we did a reconstruction last time as well, and we kind of noticed how stiff a lot of that animation was. And there was a few moments of a little bit of awkwardness in the animation in this too, but my word, are these guys so much better. Also, they put
the stiffest thing was Ben's permanent scowl.
Well, there was a couple of characters that had like really weird things going on with their mouths. I
don't know. I haven't really taken a close look at Ben in live action. Does he have resting bitch face?
I'd have to watch another story to recall.
I mean, there's only so much live action footage of Ben that exists. Although I actually have heard, I've heard one person say, so this may or may not be enough to say anything, that had an issue working with Peter Purves. So he may not be the smiliest figure.
But also the amount of detail into backgrounds and in particular the Daleks animations. Holy cow, this one. And again, I don't want to go into scenes because in particular there's a couple of scenes with Daleks where they go into a lot of detail. And needfully so, because it was also supposed to be on camera originally as well. So it's like, wow, okay.
Because I do wonder if the Daleks are an improved thing over the original reconstruction, because this is supposed to be the, like, sort of something that they've gone back to and edited some stuff.
I believe we had a
Alright.
lot of detailed stills and a couple of clips of animation that were reused for some. A couple of clips that were saved that were reused for the animation, I should say.
Interestingly enough, I think the BBC did this in-house animation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, there was a lot of they were able to use a lot of the good information that they could easily reconstruct some of that good stuff for this.
Because I can see the animation director, the character artist, the character shader, the prop designer, and the background artist, but I can't see an animation studio. And that tells me that this might have been done in-house. They did it for the 50th anniversary of the serial.
Ah.
So it might have just been a
It might have been
special.
one of their in-house animation groups, yeah.
All right. I believe that's what everyone liked.
Yep.
Now we're up to what you don't like.
Least favorite.
And it was starting with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can see why this wasn't included, but it was really my only complaint. Is that I wish there were more of the actual rebels. Like, I don't mean like the two leaders that we see all the time, but the actual people who are kind of duped into being involved with the rebels, and like talk to them and seen their point of view a little bit more, especially in the first half of the serial. I think it would have really helped build things out. I could kind of see why it wasn't, because it would have probably had to have been a 7-parter if you had added a character like that and given them enough of a role to be worth giving them a speaking role. But that was I kind of wish we saw that faction a little bit more.
Yeah, because like, I will admit that is something that upon a rewatch, I'm like, okay, so what are they rebelling against? We don't see like the current like leader of this place doesn't really seem to be all that scummy.
That's true. I don't think we know any of the rebels' complaints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just
Were
have complaints.
were they
and that's
younger? What are they rebelling against? What do you got?
They're rebels without a cause.
Yep.
Yeah.
Probably without a clue too.
A couple of them for sure.
We're rebelling against the man.
Wild rebels.
Because he keeps putting us down. You got to remember, this was like, fucking 67.
67, so don't trust anybody over 30.
So this was right around the beginning of the hippie revolution.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't quite there, but it was close.
You can smell the brownies already.
Oh, the brownies had been around for a while.
I said you can smell the brownies already.
All right. So that's Bill's.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next.
Oh, I'm trying to think if there's something other than bills that I had. God, let's see. I guess like the constant thing of like, I have to believe this is just because the actress got a couple of days off or something.
Oh.
But it's so funny to just be like, oh, where's Polygon? And then they're like, they keep like, it's several scenes, so it's not really a scene, but like Ben's like whole drive now is just, okay, come on, we gotta find Polly. And never really goes anywhere. Like, we find out where she is, but like, and we know where she is, but like, it's so like weird that the Doctor is so like, just like, oh yeah, no, it's fine.
Well, the Doctor's not supposed to be fully the Doctor yet. He's still cooking.
It
Yeah.
does show how single-minded his focus is on the Daleks. He's like, until the Daleks are gone, literally nothing else matters even a little bit. But I do wish, if Ben was going to keep, I wish that would have been a good moment for Ben to really establish himself as a character and not just as the person who argues all the time. If he had done something to find Polly, but it doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, if he would have been able to do something to find Polly, and then he and Polly had their own side adventure for a little bit. But that would have possibly taken away from other things too, so kinda
Well, you gotta wonder if they already knew by this point that they were departing the show too.
Maybe.
Because I
it's
mean,
interesting because I think it's only really that they decided to leave once Jamie became overwhelmed everything. Because he wasn't even supposed to be a companion.
Once it became the Doctor and Jamie show.
Yeah. Because he wasn't even supposed to be a companion, so him going from that to them losing out on lines because suddenly they've got to write Jamie into everything is they probably just thought, okay, screw it.
Oh, he's more interesting character than us. Oops.
I don't know how Ben and Polly's acting. I can't remember how they acted against William Hartwell's Doctor, but it's quite possible that they just did not have the same connection with Troughton.
Maybe.
And then they realized that Fraser Hines did. And the two acted off each other so well that they're like, yeah, we're done.
Yeah. I mean, I think it helped that I'm pretty sure Fraser Hines and Troughton knew each other prior. And
either that or they were just two people that just connected like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are people that you put them together and they just have acting chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to say that I would like to say that David Tennant and Catherine Tate actually have that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you've watched them do stuff other than Doctor Who.
Yeah, even before Doctor Who, they had some obviously good chemistry for doing skit comedies and stuff.
Yeah. They have this amazing double act that they can do whenever they're on the same show or movie. And that's good acting chemistry. You want bad acting chemistry? Watch Star Wars Episode 2.
I hate sand.
You get what's his face who played Anakin, and what's her face that played Padme together in the room, and it's like watching two blocks of wood.
To be fair, they weren't really getting directed.
They were,
Yes,
to be fair, they
That
weren't
didn't
getting
help.
directed very well, but
But still, if you watch the two, there's no real chemistry between them.
Or as some people have said, even an Oscar winner would be able to make some of this dialogue sound good.
yeah, it doesn't matter how much you polish a turd, it's still a turd.
Now, this is one of the things that the Harry Potter movies got lucky on. Because, they cast a random assortment of 11-year-olds to play these characters, and they hoped they got lucky. Well, it turned out that
Lightning in a bottle.
Radcliffe, Grint, and Watson all had acting chemistry with each other.
Mm-hmm.
They played off of each other well. They did it instinctively.
Except for the time that they had to kiss, they said that was very difficult because they had a sibling relationship at that point.
Yeah, well, they grew up together.
Yeah.
From the age of 11 to 20-something, they were constantly in each other's presence. It's like, you two kiss. It's like, what?
What I'm saying where these people who have had a platonic relationship for years just go,
or the standard scene with the standard line, they were great playing off each other. They did a good
the Western
job.
Mark effect.
And that's a good thing. And I mean, if you get Radcliffe and Watson in a movie, they're still going to have that play off each other chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want them to be romantic couple.
Maybe
but
not,
if they're
but
two people on the same team, Like you have this kind of like Avengers, and I mean the old Avengers TV show, not Marvel's.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah, they would be the perfect duo for like the old British
spy
Avengers,
duo.
yeah.
Yeah, they would play wonderfully off of each other. Now
we went from a subplot that went nowhere to trashing on Ben to talking about Harry Potter.
Well, no. This is. These are coming out as examples of acting chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, Fraser Hines and Patrick Troughton had a wonderful acting chemistry.
Yeah.
They just automatically knew what the other one would do, and would play off of it. And once you've got a team like that, you don't break them up. It would be like breaking up Laurel and Hardy.
You like breaking up the Three Stooges?
Yeah.
Well, didn't they do that a couple times? Like the third?
Yeah, I was going to say that's a little more complicated because there's more than Three Stooges. There's like 6. One would drop out and the other one would take their place. Yeah. But Laurel and Hardy, I was trying to think. There was another.
Abbott and Costello.
Abbott and Costello. That was the other one I was trying to think of. Thank you.
Yes, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, my favorite movie as a child.
Or God, brain just died. Bob Hope and come on. Actor, Holiday Inn, White Christmas, Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby, yeah.
Bob Hope and Bing Crosby. 2 people, great acting chemistry. When you see a team like that, you don't break them up. You find people that can work with them, but let them take the center stage. So if you have a mediocre acting chemistry with the group and you get one of these people, you know you're on the next door out. And you got to wonder if the guys that played Ben and Polly already knew that they did not have the proper chemistry to work with Troughton. So maybe they were just
they were maybe already attuned to that, and then when Jamie came in, they're just like, oh, yep, there it is.
Yep. That's the point I've been trying to blather on about.
I think Ben and Polly had good relationship. Like they had good chemistry with each other, but I don't think with either of their doctors really.
Which is a problem because that's the lead actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good as a couple, but they're not great with the main guy.
You got to at least have a good relationship with them. I mean, look at the chemistry actually between most of the actors during the Fifth Doctor era. When you had, 3 of their, Tegan and Nyssa played well off of each other. Tegan and Adric played well off of each other, although in a very kind of sibling fightish way.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the same. Adric and the Doctor, they clashed, but they did so in a way that worked with each other on screen.
Yeah. They had a very kind of family of siblings going on in the TARDIS at that point. You had the Nyssa, the brainy one, Tegan, the loud-mouth, outspoken one, Adric, the whiny one, and the Doctor was the quiet one. And, they worked well off of each other, so that first season or 2 of the Fifth Doctor was great. But then Adric left, and they tried to replace Adric with Turlough, and that didn't work because there was no chemistry there.
Well, definitely not the same chemistry, for sure.
Yeah. It's just, when you've got a team like that, another example would be the trio from Top Gear, Clarkson, Hammond, and May.
Yeah.
They have this great working chemistry where they can be putting together Lego models while drinking vodka, and you'll be rooted to your computer screen for an hour and a half watching them do this because it's entertaining. And James May could make a sandwich and you can watch him.
That's like there's some YouTubers like I don't go out of my way to watch their individual stuff, but when they're doing a collaboration, I'll throw it on just to listen to them, just to listen to the way they work off of each other because it's fun without caring about what's on screen.
Yeah, I miss Derp Crew. They kind of broke up because life took them in different directions, and it just hasn't been the same since. Anyway, that was a long divergence.
So I guess we're on to Matt.
I believe we're on to me. So least favorite thing. Oh, so yeah, they make mention of it like several times that there's the outer collection of stations around the main station, and they're all supposed to be like miners. We never get to experience or even see them, do we?
Nope.
Not much, and that might be part of like.
And they were basically the Chekhov's gun to make sure the place doesn't completely go derelict after everything goes down.
And maybe some of those people are the ones rebelling, and we don't know why.
I know that the second rash of guards that are supposed to come in to help stop the Daleks from completely taking over is where they come from, but that's about all we get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing like a Robert Holmes would really like bring in those characters in some way and make it entertaining.
Yeah, that kind of smacks of, we have this thing, but it's literally just our excuse to have the Daleks away just long enough for the Doctor to do something.
We just lost Ren.
Oh. Well, luckily he's not doing the other things tonight, so I guess it's favorite scene, and that goes back around to you, Bill.
Okay, so my favorite scene is there's one where... Damn it, I just had his name in front of me. I think is Lesterson. Was that the scientist's name?
Yeah.
Lesterson says to the Dalek, he's like, "Oh, you're almost as smart as a human. It's amazing." And the Dalek is bristling with rage, about to start screaming at him. And he's like, "Don't blow my cover. Don't blow my cover. Don't blow my cover." And you can just sense this this pepper shaker filled with rage, trying to keep calm, and I love it. He's like, Daleks are different from humans.
There's a few things of that which are always funny. Like
can you hear me now?
Hello.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, my internet decided to suddenly drop. So
Ah.
I'm using phone tethering.
Okay.
Got you.
Sorry.
We started favorite scenes because we knew you weren't going to give a dislike thing.
Yeah, I would just like to say what I said is that instead of having the harmony together, though, the actors were kind of in discord with the Doctor, and that caused issues.
Gotcha.
And then we'll go to that. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So where are you in favorite scenes? Who's up?
So I had just given mine, and I was saying it was the scene where Lesterson says the Dalek is almost as smart as a human. So you see this pepper shaker bristling with rage, trying not to blow its top and expose its cover, and eventually saying a Dalek is not the same as a human. When you know that's not what it wanted to say.
Funnily enough, mine is another Lesterson and a Daleks moment, and it's the one where he sneaks onto the ship into the capsule and that, and is just watching all of the new ones be made, and there's just no dialogue aside from like the Daleks a bit, but like he's just kind of watching in a horror as this assembly line of Daleks is getting made. And it's just like, there's, aside from Daleks near the end when they're like fully operational, shouting normal Dalek stuff, it's like, from him at least, from Lesterson, there's no dialogue. It's just
that's like the start of episode 5, I think, right?
That's like the end of 4-star 5,
like,
I think.
It's
I remember that
it's a
being
cliffhanger
an end of
and a
episode
start.
ups, yeah.
But I remember with that's one where the animation makes a huge difference because with the telesnaps,
You just
I
get
think
like three
we got-
images and a lot of
yeah,
sounds. It's like,
we
what
got
the
like
hell's going on?
we got like a photo of a bunch of Daleks and maybe some text underneath at the bottom, and I was like, wait, how are they making Daleks? Don't they need genetic material? What is actually happening in this scene? But in the animated, you can actually see, yes, here's the genetic material. Here's them bringing it to life. Here's, all of this stuff that we could only really imagine when we first watched it.
Yeah, like here's the PS2 animation Daleks. Like the little squid things is like I was just thinking, wow, that looks like a PS2 cutscene, but on the budget they had, that's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like it's one of those things of like it's a great example of how little to no dialogue can really help something, so long as the visuals are getting the point across.
God, I just now imagined
Like-
it as a kid show in 2020 or 2022 where there would have been, oh my God, they're making more Daleks.
Yeah.
They're putting them in the casings. This is terrible.
Yeah, could you
almost like
imagine
even
trying to-
New Who would probably have done that in like 2010.
Could you
If
imagine
this-
them trying to do this as a Big Finish audio?
Oh,
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
that would not be. Yeah, this is one of those where it's all about the visual.
Yeah.
Because I've seen them try to do these highly visual scenes via narration in Big Finish, and it just does not work.
Right.
No.
Yeah, this is one of those that really shows the difference between taking an old story and treating it as an MP3 and listening to it versus actually watching it.
Oh no. These were made for audio, but they still have this scene where they have to narrate what's happening because it's just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, the writer obviously had the whole thing in his head,
Right.
but not really getting it to the getting it out properly. Yeah. Yeah, that's things you don't want. Okay, so Matt, we're down to your favorite scene.
My favorite scene. Well, actually, technically, that last one was one of mine.
And was taken.
So skipping that one, I guess my next favorite scene would be the doctor imprisoned and he's constantly messing with a glass of water. and the other guy next to him is kind of playing off that he's annoyed, but he's also kind of seems to also be getting it as they try to find a way to get the right frequency to get one of their doors open. Because basically their doors are locked with that weird, the high-pitched weird thing that's supposed to unlock and lock.
It's like he's using the sonic vibrations as some sort of screwdriver. Wonder if that idea will come back later.
I will say a backup that I didn't get to bring up was like just I forget if it's like the 5th episode or 6th, but there's just like a panning shot across a bunch of the corpses of the people.
Yeah,
that
you can tell that was supposed to show something like that, and they did a really good job of just like piling up some of the things that we have seen and just laying it out nicely.
Yeah, one of the most effective uses of music in old Who that I can remember.
Oh, that
music is just great.
That's another thing. I kind of a secondary mention for a favorite thing about this story, the music in this. It's very haunting, and it actually reminds me a lot of the soundtrack to the original Night of the Living Dead.
Well,
that's part of the creepy
and being within 10 years of each other, it's very apt.
This was the first season where I think they were actively composing a little more in front. And then they lost that again when they went to the Third Doctor.
Yeah,
and then
this is also this is the run of Doctor Who where they even made the first marching theme for the Cybermen. Yeah, on the moon and everything. Yeah,
that was Moonbase. Yeah, and I mean they'd had some good music before for incidental music,
Here and there, but yeah, this particular run,
in like the Dalek invasion of Earth.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like they will have a season or two where they do that, and then they'll have a season or two where it just kind of trails off, so that you've got just some slight music here and there where the dialogue is tapered off.
Well, this is an episode they knew everybody was going to be watching.
Yeah, so they definitely pulled some. Did not pull any punches on that musical score for this one in particular.
And if you think about it, then you get to that's one of the things I will give John Nathan Turner a yay for, is they started having a lot more episodes with composers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they actually got proper composers a lot more often than during the 80s, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where some of the best March villain music comes from.
Yeah, well, for Cybermen, yeah.
Cybermen in particular, yes. Boom, boom,
yeah, the Cybermen in particular had the greatest themes. Daleks
their second Doctor theme isn't. Their second Doctor era theme isn't all that bad either.
Well, what I was going to say is the Daleks didn't get a really good theme until Remembrance. The yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That very action-packed, threatening theme for the Daleks during that, yeah.
Yeah. But you just got more. You got more memorable music, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, what'll happen is they will hire a composer for a couple of years, and then use that music ad nauseum.
Yeah, that too.
In this, and just a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less, until they realize, yeah, the music's kind of degraded. We've used it enough. All right, let's hire some composers for a couple of seasons, and then we'll use that music ad nauseum.
Mm-hmm.
What they don't think about doing, other than the theme, is, yeah, let's get a composer to do a remix.
That's actually something I need to go back to too. I actually did do at least a couple seconds of my version of the 80s Cybermen theme.
Well, no, I was
go
just
back
going
and
to say,
finish that.
Compare that to Star Trek, where Star Trek the Motion Picture put in the Klingon theme when the Klingons attacked the cloud at the beginning of the movie. This, dun 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 dun.
Yep.
And they would remix that for the next 20 years.
Basically.
It was never the same theme twice, but the composer would take that theme and rework it.
Take the basic bells and whistles and redo something new with it, yeah.
Yeah. And so that just kind of became the Star Trek Klingon theme. Doctor Who, on the other hand, will have a composer look what people did before, toss it out the window, and do something completely different.
Different.
If you think about the cyber theme for the Cybermen from the moon base versus the cyber march from Earthshock.
Mm-hmm. Totally different beasts.
Right.
Totally different beasts, but also they're decades apart too, to be fair.
True. But you would think a proper composer would listen to that, strip it down, take some of the elements, and roll it into a new theme.
Kind of like they do with the Doctor Who theme.
Exactly. That's all. Okay, I'm sorry. I got on a tangent about the music.
Yeah, you are a tangent tonight.
Sorry, we're getting to the end of this, and I'm trying not to think about having to pee.
Least favorite things.
Yeah. So least favorite scenes. So, I think I had to kind of dig for this one, but I had definitely a clear least favorite scene, and that is, this is also a scene with Lesterson and the Daleks. Funny enough, but the scene where the Daleks are just in a circle chanting, "We will get our power," like little kids. Even though, like, Lesterson can see them, he's not trying to hide. They're just not looking at him. And I'm like, are these, like, toddler Daleks? Do they not understand Like, it's not even like, we will take over the universe. We will get our power. And then he's just like, yeah, like, it's the most ineffectual Dalek scene in this entire episode, and it's kind of
We will
goofy.
get our power and
Yep.
ice cream.
And the chocolate puddings. The chocolate puddings.
If I were to not do the bump I did, I thought of doing that scene followed by the Daleks from Jubilee. Daleks do not sing.
Daleks do
And
not
don't
dance
talk-
with
and
the
don't-
creator.
And don't talk about chocolate pudding, Matt. You keep reminding me I have a snack pack still in the fridge. And I haven't had my pudding tonight. I ate my dinner. I did not get my pudding. No.
Stand still, laddie.
I ate my meat. I should get my pudding. Sorry.
Alex.
Yep. I guess I'm just gonna have to go with the Oh God, what's the job title called? Like I keep forgetting what the job title's called for some reason, but the Hensel guy being like, "Oh, wait, why are you armed? Oh well," and then like goes in and the other guy just is like, well, no, I'm in charge now. And he doesn't think to just immediately run. Like, he's very much, like, taking this all in stride.
Is Hensel the governor's name?
Yeah.
Okay. I only knew him as the governor, so we
Yeah, I
we
got
knew
another
opposite.
governor.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was basically, like, looking at his name tag a lot was, like, it stuck in my head. Even though some of the other ones aren't sticking.
I don't think anyone called him by his name, or if they did, not often.
Actually, the guy who usurped the second governor position called him Hensel all the time.
That makes sense because he's not
Yeah.
respecting his position.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like when he's like talking with Bragan and like Bragan's basically just very casually like, no, I'm in charge now. And all that. He doesn't think to like immediately run. Not that he would have gotten very far, but it's still just like you think, and like even the warning sign of like, oh wait, you've got armed guards. He doesn't think to just immediately go, yep, I'm out. Like it ends up costing him.
He was just a few days from retirement.
He was.
I think they even bring that
years.
up. I think that's actually dialogue where he's like,
I mean,
if you'd waited a
He
bit
does
longer,
actually
you would
mention
have
himself
actually
that he was a
taken
few
over."
years from deciding to retire.
right.
So that's it. That particular scene. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. So my least favorite. What's the doctor's name again? Lesterson.
Lesterson.
Yeah.
Mine is actually a Lesterson moment too, and it's literally him just. I understand the guy's in shock, but he's literally just sitting there rambling about the Daleks would take over. The Daleks would take over for the humans. The Daleks would take over for humans. So. Okay, dude, you need to lighten the hell up. We understand you're spooked, but you're just rambling stupid crazy.
The scene after he looked for the doctor and couldn't get to him, and he's trying to find
basically.
anyone to listen to him.
Well, where he's hiding in the lab.
Yeah.
And then he being the rambling dummy he is, he just gets himself shot for no reason. Well, yeah, that's my least favorite scene. Is just that was a waste of a character.
Speaking of, the scene in which he gets himself shot, that's interesting that he does a Dalek impression to try to get on the Dalek side.
Right. I am your servant.
He doesn't even say he literally says it like a Dalek. He's like, I am your servant. I was like, you really had to elongate the syllables.
probably had to listen to that all day, so that's his way of kind of tongue-in-cheeking them.
Oh, so he was snarking at them as he died.
Maybe. Alrighty.
All right. So final thoughts.
Yep.
All right. So funny enough, we didn't really get into all of like the themes and the interesting things about this episode as a regeneration story, which is probably partially because it's a re-review for most of us, and
Yes, we've done it before.
right, and partially because when we first reviewed it, it was with all the other regeneration stories, whereas here it's kind of in a vacuum.
Yeah,
But
it's an isolated one thing where we're really supposed to be looking at the animation versus the original.
mm-hmm.
That's supposed to be our focus.
But it's
We're not really good at focusing.
But we're not only going to rate the animation because it's still part of, it's still changing
No,
the overall
we're
rating.
supposed to take that and then wrap it into the whole.
Right. But yeah, so I definitely, everything said in the original still stands. It's a great story with a lot of very interesting writing there. I definitely think the animation added a lot to it. I remember there just being a whole lot of, this story seems interesting, but I have no fucking clue what's going on in half the scenes. Whereas here, there's a lot. It's very clear what's going on. It adds to the creepy atmosphere. The characters are very clearly distinguished from one another. And it's definitely, there are a few nitpicks, but I think it's definitely goes up there with the top tier of Doctor Who stories.
All right. Alex?
Yeah, this is one that I'm glad I never really had to watch the telesnaps. I think I maybe attempted to once, and I was like, no. There's just there's not enough for me to go off.
Watching Doctor Who telesnaps is dental work. It really is.
Especially for an episode where all 6 episodes are missing.
Yeah, if there's an episode where it's more talking heads than others, you can sit there and do something else and listen to it and but anything that involves a decent amount of visuals and you're lost.
Yeah.
I keep thinking, as much as I hate the episode, could you imagine if Web Planet had been one of the episodes lost? And all you had was the audio of them stupid ants.
Just the beep, beep,
chirping.
beep, beep, beep.
Yeah.
How
would you know what the fuck is going on?
Because actually, I do recall that not only were their audio saved, but there were actually scripts saved, so they would actually at least have that to rely on too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
it's still not very
as bad as watching this as a telesnap, imagine that one as a telesnap. Dear
I mean,
God.
not gonna lie, if I could make a trade, I would wish that this had been saved and Web Planet hadn't been. Because who would give a shit?
If I had a wish, they would have lost none of them.
Well, right, yeah. Or it's like,
it'd be
dude. But yeah, like this was such an interesting watch because this was like just the first time through. This had me hooked. Like this was one that I only had to watch twice and even half pay attention the second time because I just it had stuck with me the first time so well. Whereas there are others where I feel like I would have to watch them 3 or 4 times for it to stick because my brain's just you don't really care. Just let it go. Whereas this one, most of it, the gist of it stuck with me. So that stood way the hell out. It's also just interesting how with one story, they basically get the entire shtick of the second Doctor out in one go.
Mm-hmm.
It is just the playing, acting like he's nowhere near as intelligent as he is. but like
A lot of
it's
times,
even
yes,
like
and then suddenly you get out of a lot of people as they continues to go on. They go, actually, he's very clever. He's dangerous. It's like,
it's like like even to the point where it like at the end of it, he's still being coy about whether the way he took them out was intended or not.
Did you know Patrick Troughton originally wanted to play this role in blackface?
Oof.
I saw that.
ooh,
The reason he did is because he was pretty sure this was going to tank the show. This whole
Oh.
replacing the lead actor, and therefore, when it tanked, and he goes to show in his CV for a new
That's
show,
right. He didn't want people to
they wouldn't
recognize him.
recognize him. Yes. So he wanted to do it as kind of this cosmic genie kind of thing. So imagine, if you will, Patrick
with
Troughton
that.
dressed up as Mr. Popo.
Not the Popo.
Hi there, Polly.
Trying to do the whole doctor shtick.
God.
Thank God somebody
Yeah.
They got somebody stopped
and
him.
producers went, no.
Right. Yeah, producer or director or whoever made a good call.
Yeah. It's like, no, only recurring villains are allowed to do that.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it wasn't the blackface thing at the time. This was the mid to late 60s. That wasn't as big of a deal as it is today. I'm not saying it was a good thing, but
Having the main character in blackface might have been a deal breaker, though, because yeah.
Maybe, yeah. That might have been a deal break for some people still.
But it was
Proper
just
British
it
families
wasn't,
might not have
it
wanted
wasn't
to watch
him
a
trying
black
to be
main
racist.
character.
It was trying to have him hide his ID,
Right. Yeah.
Right.
so he wouldn't be recognized the next time he did something. I'm sure if they could have found a way to put like prosthetics on him, he would have been like, "Yeah, I'm all for that." Princess, I can't play fetch with you right now. Don't touch my phone. It's keeping me connected to these guys.
Yeah.
If we lose her,
generally,
you know why.
yeah. Yeah, generally, I really enjoyed the hell out of this, and I would recommend people check it out.
Okay.
So, on to my thoughts. There's a couple of things I wish would be more fleshed out, like the people that basically helped distract the Daleks near the end. And also, actually, where did this Dalek pod even come from in the first place? Also, notice, I would also take a moment to note that the Dalek pod is bigger on the inside than the outside, which means it's the same technology as their own time machine.
You do realize you could make several theories behind that.
The fact that they had a time machine during the first Doctor era, which was also bigger on the inside, was like, huh. Where did you get this?
Probably
Because it seems to borrow a certain kind of technology from a certain kind of people.
It's definitely one of those things where RTD probably went, Time War.
Yeah,
Retroactive.
I almost guarantee
that's where my brain goes.
Yeah, that's I almost
Except
guarantee
they're the
that's
wrong
where
kind
that
of
idea
Dalek,
for
but-
Russell came from. Is
Yeah.
that his explanation is that, well, technically what happens during the Fourth Doctor started the Time War. This is basically the middle of it, the middle beginning of it. But anyways, outside of theories like that, relatively decent story. The animation is, again, there's some qualms to be had about this particular style of animation because it's not the highest budget kind of animation, but what it does very well, which is what we wanted to have, is get some decent visuals, let us know what's actually going on, and make us feel like we're not missing out. And they do some really great shots, especially during some of the big finales for the in-between episodes for the story. Very well done. And the few couple of moments where it's just sounds and not actual dialogue, they at least try to come up with something to show you to might reflect what could have been on screen. Most of the acting was really solid. A lot of the characters at least seemed to be going somewhere and trying to do something. And the few that didn't have a lot going on were at least, even though we kind of missed them for a few moments, they are at least removed and came back to do something. So overall, yeah, really decently well done story, and definitely a chancy one given the fact that this is a new Doctor for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of almost forget it at some points.
All right. So that's going to take us to rating this. Now, I take it, Bill, that you filled in these scores from the previous one?
Yes, because I saw that's what
So-
you did last time.
Yep. So oh god, that's the wrong section. I hate it when I do that. So my 4.0 holds as what I had adjusted my rating to.
Yep.
And with that, we are going to go to Bill. Your
So
previous rating was a 3.5.
and I think I even predicted this at the time that with all the visuals, this is a 5.0 for me.
I think it still had some errors, but I think most of my bitch goes to Ben's resting bitch face still.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, this is your first time rating this.
You know, in my head it was a 5 the first time, and on the rewatch that didn't change, so I agree with Bill.
All right. That's going to change the score significantly. Matt, your previous score was a 3.0.
3.0, and I'm pretty sure at the time I said, I guarantee you with visuals it's at least a 4.0 and higher. I am already going to agree with that, and I'm trying to debate with myself. I keep saying there could have been retweaks, but do they actually really need them?
One of us.
Well, like I said, my big issue is Ben constantly looking like he sucked on a lemon.
And I don't care because I'm not paying attention to Ben. I'm paying attention to the Doctor. What's the Doctor up to?
I'm
And
paying
he
attention
is
to
the title
everybody, man.
character. What is he up to? What is he doing? And he's doing an awesome job in this already. So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip a bottle cap.
This is a new score.
Oh, yep. And 5.0 wins it. It literally was a
Considering
horse apiece.
And considering Miles also gave this a 5.0.
I
makes
turn out
it-
to be the one doubting Thomas with a 4. That will change the score significantly.
Yeah, this thing's going to
Yeah,
launch.
it's going
Excuse
way
me.
up.
Yeah, significantly. Raising it from its middle road status to a 4.8. Which will put this at number 26
Damn.
in our rankings.
We are a fickle
It is on
bunch.
par
This is only 26.
With Pyramids of Mars, Dalek, Genesis of the Daleks, Empty Child Dr. Dances, Time Heist,
Oh, yeah.
The Macro Terror, which I recall we saw animated.
Oh, yeah. We only saw it animated
Yep.
and it was brilliant. I think it might be the same group, even.
Tooth and Claw, Robots of Death, Dark Water, Death in Heaven, and the Armageddon Factor. It is better than The Mutants, The Curse of Fenric, and is not as good as The Unearthly Child minus Tribe of Gum, The Silurians, School Reunion, and The Hand of Fear.
Of course, that's making me realize that while this doesn't make this the best first appearance, because that still goes to Hartnell for Unearthly Child, this is technically the highest, probably, unless I'm missing something, the highest ranking regeneration story as far as like post regeneration.
Yeah, the highest ranking regeneration story is technically a pre-regeneration in Caves of Androzani. But going down from there, I don't see a regeneration story minus Unearthly Child until you hit this one.
Right.
And Caves of Androzani is by and large considered one of the best episodes of Doctor Who ever.
So that's saying something. That the second Doctor had such a big outing right off the bat.
In fact,
Trying to see where the next regeneration story is.
It might be
Yeah.
Spearhead, which I think is a 4.3. Which
Yeah,
I
that's
thought that was higher too, but I think somebody must have given it a low rating.
Spearhead's a 4.3. That's third. I know Robot's down there because of the shitty CGI.
Yeah, that's that terrible blue screen.
Where's Castrovalva? Oh, there it is. At 4.0 flat.
Hmm.
And
Sixth
God
Doctor's
knows,
first episode is not anywhere near there.
the Sixth Doctor's is way down there. Time in the Ronnie was also.
Although actually,
mediocre.
wasn't the 11th hour pretty high?
The
Yeah,
11th
that's what
hour
I'm
should
Oh,
have
the
been
11th
pretty
hour is a
high.
4.40. So I missed that. That's above Spearhead. Okay.
Yep. The 11th hour is, 4.4. In fact, it's the top of the 4.4s. Yeah.
So I guess that's all we have to say about that.
Well,
Yeah,
All
I
right.
was trying to think. You caught me on a thing here, and I'm trying to think of what the other first episodes are. What was the Capaldi's? Oh no, Capaldi's was junk.
That was Deep Breath, which we
Yeah.
gave a 3.0.
Yeah. And then no, you're right. That's the best there is.
And
so
the Woman Who Fell to Earth, we gave a 4.5. I must have missed that on the original on going down the rankings too.
now that I think about it,
Start-
that's I would probably give that lower.
yeah, I might have to re-rate that because it had so much promise that was then wasted.
Yeah, it opened up a field that didn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Right.
Hey,
Yep. So those watching the recording, please let us know in the comments what do you think of Planet of the Daleks, especially the animated version. Don't forget to check out our original review where we talk a lot more about what this meant in the context of the first regeneration ever. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe on YouTube to get our exports every week, and or follow us on Twitch to get our streams every Tuesday night.
all right. So next week we are going on to an animated reconstruction I have not seen yet, and I'm curious to see. Even though it's 7 parts and it's going to eat my entire Tuesday.
One part a day.
I can't do it that way. My memory's not good. I lose where I am. And lose the plot. Anyway, we are going to do Evil of the Daleks, which was
Ooh.
the final episode of the first season of Patrick Troughton, if I recall.
Yep.
And it is starring... It was written by David Whittaker, starring Patrick Troughton as the Doctor, Fraser Hines as Jamie, who we talked about a bit, and Deborah Watling as Victoria Waterfield.
Ooh.
So that's completely different cast over the course of a season,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll see you then.
Have a good evening.